front of the Parliament, you find a magnificent obelisk. It's a very small one. You know, guys, we have 13 Egyptian obelisks of the 20 surviving in the world. This is incredible because emperors were taking obelisks from Egypt, sailing them to Rome and using them to decorate stadiums and gardens. Later on, popes thought, oh, look at that. This is really nice. It's quite tall. It's very useful and visible in the distance. Why don't we move all the obelisks in front of churches? Now, if you remember Rome, since mostly all of you already visited Rome once, well, you remember obelisks in front of churches. Well, they work exactly like GPS for pilgrims. So you see an obelisk, you know there's a church there. Imagine in the 1400s and the 1500s without Google or GPS, using obelisks to find your way for a church. But now, guys, we are reaching an incredible place, our favorite place. Grace, I'm sure you agree with me if I say that the next building is the best one of the whole tour. Anyone guesses what comes next? Anyone remembers? Let me see the chat. What's the most famous building of the city center of Rome? Anybody? Round Dome? Seriously? No one in the chat? Come on. What am I talking about, Grace? If you just move a little bit further, Bill starts. Yes, Abdus, Pantheon, Nigel, Pantheon. Yes, Isabel, great. Thank you, guys. Oh, there we go, Pantheon. Now, Rome, it's like this. Wherever you go, you find remains everywhere. Ancient Roman buildings everywhere, every corner. I know that sounds confusing, but it's about, you know what we always say, Rome is like a big lasagna. It's layers on layers on layers on layers, and sometimes it's layers surrounding layers. So the Pantheon is inside a 1700s square, and look how great it is. It's perfectly preserved. Now, I have one question for you guys. How come many other temples and many other buildings are destroyed while this one, it's perfectly standing and perfectly preserved in front of you? Any idea? Why? Any idea? The Pantheon is preserved and many other buildings are gone. If you entered the Pantheon, maybe you remember something like an altar inside. Because yes, the Pantheon, it's now a church. That's how things survived in Rome. The church, the popes, they had two ways to approach to ancient Roman remains. Way number one, I need materials to build my churches. I just help myself at the Roman Forum. I just help myself at temples, and I recycle the materials. Option number two, I have a building ready. Why don't I just take away the pagan god and replace it with an altar? And this is exactly what happened to the Pantheon in the 604. This was the first pagan building ever turned into a church. And we know everything about that. Look, there is an inscription that says, M. Agrippa, LF cos tertium fecit. What's that for? It's basically saying, Marco Agrippa, Lucius fili, Marco Agrippa, son of Lucio, cos, consul, tertium. He was consul for the third time, and he made the Pantheon, fecit.